Welcome to the Halloween party decorations video. In this easy to follow instructional video, we will give you the information you need to create the best Halloween experience ever. Together we will transform common items readily available from home or stores into professional looking and scary Halloween decor for inside and outside your home. In part 1, we will use common household items to make our Halloween decorations. Pipe cleaners will become spider legs. Old plastic jars will become scary Halloween lanterns, and old clothing with the right accessories will become scary Halloween hanging ghosts. Part 2 of the video will teach you how to create special effects, such as scary floating ghosts, haunted grave sites, spooky spiders and spiderwebs, all of which will add to the presentation of your home come Halloween night. In part 3, we will cover how to make scary Halloween foods that'll be sure to be a hit at any party. Create custom images on cakes and sweets, and learn how to combine foods so they're as scary as they are delicious. Let's get started. This is our next fantastic project. I really love this one, and what I really love about it is that you can use it for years to come. For the base of the ghost, we're going to use paper plate. For the body, a plastic cup. For the head, this is half of an egg, plastic egg, and then we need tissue paper and a brush. I'm going to take my glue, go crazy pouring glue all over it, and let that glue run all the way down the sides of our ghost's innards. With the brush, I'm going to covering up the whole body of this ghost. To take the tissue and right in the center, just basically flatten it down over top of the ghost. I'm going to take my glue and actually do the same thing. Kind of push the glue into the creases to make sure that it sticks down all over. I'm going to get another piece of tissue, and I want to make its little arms, and make 2 pieces approximately the same size. So take some glue, twirl into my tissue like so, and I'm going to crunch it all up. I left a piece loose. I'm going to put some glue on that and stick it onto my ghost. Do another one, and then go wild with my glue again. Do basically the same thing. This time, when you tap it down, this is the top layer, it's kind of like very crazily wrapping a gift. I've just kept adding glue and pushing the paper down until it's all squished in. I have one here that's dry. I went and cut around the bottom and cut the circle out, drew 2 little eyes. There it is. I want to hang some ghosts up in my front entrance. I want to make them realistic, so life-size ghosts. At secondhand store, I found this crazy, I guess, bridesmaid's dress, and I thought that would be really great with this mannequin head. I want to put the head in here and secure it to the hanger, so I got some wire, and I'm going to stick the wire into her head. And I'm going to insert the neck into the dress, and I'm going to secure the wire onto the back of the hanger, and then stick the wire back into the head. To tighten it, I'm just twisting off the leftover wire. I can use the hanger as a hook, and I'll zip it up. To make hands for her, just got a couple of latex gloves and blew them up. Tie it in a knot or tie it off with a twist tie. So I'm going to take a safety pin, and in the top part, stick the safety pin in. And I'm going to pin it inside of her sleeves. pulling the sleeves down over her hands. We got ourselves some hands. I've picked up this Veily drape, so I'm going to be putting this over top of her head. That's it, we got ourselves a great ghost. I'll put some purple lighting on it. That'd be a really great effect, especially when the wind blows. Every year I create a really great laboratory. We're going to actually make some laboratory accessories. Great preserves from the crazy mind of Deborah's laboratory. These are really simple. Get all sorts of different kinds of jars and food coloring and water. And for example, this is just a mannequin hand, mannequin finger, and a rubber brain from a costume store. And we'll do a couple variations. This is a genetic mutation from the laboratory. So my little shrunken head didn't quite make it. And this guy didn't make it either. So we're going to preserve him. I will do this one green. That looks great while it sinks down. Put the lid on. And this is a really cool one. It looks like the innards of who knows what. Jerusalem artichoke. Just dump a bunch of those in there. This one is preserved in its own blood. And light them from behind. There we have it. This is a great lamp idea. Simple jar, tissue paper, and marker, and you can create this little lamp. I'm going to show you how to make this one. This is a great variation of it. Okay, for this project, you need a paper plate. You need to use a lot of glue, and I'm going to be painting it onto the jar. And the jar, we need some tissue paper. I'm going to use purple, white, and yellow. I'm going to cut up our purple into squares, so I'm going to just fold that. I want to cut a circle, my moon, out of my white. Paint some glue and stick our tissue. And then I go in over top of it and I put some more glue. I want to take a piece of purple that's fairly larger than that, fold it into 4. When I fold it into 4, then I can cut a quarter of a circle out, and that will be my moon. So I want to make sure there's enough glue all around, and then carefully lay this on so that the circle is dead center with the white. And we've got part of our moon. Now I want to put yellow down, put more glue on. We are going to create a haunted house here. I'm going to have the house coming around like this, and I'm going to put windows here and maybe up at the top. So we want to make sure that we don't put purple anywhere where the parameter of the house is going to be. We just keep on adding glue. And after the parameter of the house is laid out, we want to completely cover the rest with purple tissue. Now that my haunted house lamp is dry, I've drawn in some windows. Do whatever you want, get creative. Voila! This is a great centerpiece for the table. It's really eye-catching. Start off with styrofoam balls and markers. I got a whole bunch of pupil colors, black for the pupil, blue for the iris, also brown and green, and then red for veins. Take your darker blue, and on these styrofoam balls, conveniently, there's actually a circle in the middle. So I want to outline that circle. If you don't have a circle, that's okay. You just wing it because we want to make these creepy eyeballs, so the circle doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. But make your circle and then the outer circle. And then with your blue, you want to just put lines coming out from the inner circle. With your light blue, then go in and color in the rest. And that makes a perfect iris. Once that is complete, so with your black, I draw a circle towards the edge and then color in the rest, and that circle makes it look like a light reflection on the eye. Now to spookify the eye, I go in with our red, and we want to put lots of veins. You could go crazy with the veins. Completely cover the eyeball with veins. After you have a various bunch of eyeballs made, get a hefty wire. You stick the wire into the styrofoam ball. And once you have them in your centerpiece, you can adjust your wires however you want to make your centerpiece look just so. And I'm going to make it even more great by adding cobwebs. Cobwebs Halloweenify everything. And there we've got our eyeball flowers. This is a great craft that I'm going to serve candy in. I saw the actual nozzle part off. Take a screw and screw the lid right down to a piece of wood. We want to get an X-Acto knife, and I'm not going to cut the back, but along the side top, take my X-Acto knife. Please get an adult to do this. And we've got our lid. I'm going to cut the rim off the top, and that'll be a really good place to put your candy. We want to make a nose and ears. Made these beautiful eyebrows. Put them on a little bit of an angle. Okay, I'm going to glue on my eyes and her nice big lips. Now for hair, I've got this great boa. I'm going to actually create a clip. Just cut away some of these beads off of this garland. I'm going to lay them down on my glue. And we'll just glue that on. We're going to take the same beads, and she's got some earrings. With our nylon, we're going to cut off one of the feet. So we're just going to stretch that over top of the wood. And I'm cutting off a longer length. And I'm going to open it up, and I want to cut down the length. I'm going to make it look like she's wearing a shawl. I'm going to put some eyelashes on her. Eyebrows. I want to make some stitches. I cut holes with my X-Acto knife and went in a little circle. And then these screw in quite easily. I'm going to fill her up with jelly beans. Voila! We'll fill him up and take him to the party. Now we're making a great big spider. 2 styrofoam balls, one smaller than the other. I painted them black, and with a toothpick, I've stuck the two together. And with our foam, I'm cutting legs, maybe a finger's width thick, and we're going to cut 8 of those. Now that I have all my legs cut, set them aside, I want to put a little hot glue on my toothpick so that these both stick together. While that dries, I want to put my spider legs all around the sides of the bigger ball. So I'm going to be putting my glue on this side of the leg, and I'm going to be sticking it upwards because we're going to be bending the legs down. So a little bit of glue and stick it on and hold it. Now that I have all the legs glued on, I've begun to just bend them down. About 1/3 of the way, I bend them again. We're going to put on its eyes. Now that the eyes are complete, the only thing that's missing on this spider is fangs. Now I don't want to put glue on the bottom of the teeth, just along the top, because I will have my teeth sticking out if I don't glue them down. And here's my big spooky spider. Every party needs a garland, so we're going to make a garland. What you need for this project is tissue in assortment of colors. We're going to make a pumpkin, a ghost, and a witch. So I've already cut these ones, and I'll show you how I do that. I just open up my tissue. I take the whole stack of tissues, and I cut it the width I want it. And to make sure the whole garland is going to be the same thickness, I'm just folding it over, and I'll use my own cut as a guide. The width of the witch that I'm going to draw on here, I fold it, and then I fold it again, and I keep going all the way until the whole thing is folded. Make sure that when you fold it, you make sure that this fold is really tight in the corner. So I want the head and the hat. I'm going to be making her riding a broom. The trick to doing this well is making sure that it's attached on this side as well as the other side. So I'm going to make the broom, I'm going to actually make her brim really wide. We're going to go in and we're going to cut. Make sure that you don't cut these pieces here. We're going to be cutting right in the center, cutting right through all the tissue, making sure that it's joined all the way through, and at the bottom it's joined here, so cut above it. When you pull them apart, make sure that you don't tear them, so go carefully. There's my witch on a broom. We're going to also do a ghost. Make it going across so it joins at the bottom on this side. With the pumpkin, just a big circle, making sure that the sides join, and then we'll cut those out. So now that I have these all cut out, I'm going to tape them to each other and hang them throughout the house. I'll do it in a pattern. I'll do ghost pumpkins and witches on a broom. The next thing we're going to do are party favors. What's a party without treats? Kids love to go home with treats. And we're going to make these candy-filled cup party favors. For this project, styrofoam, construction paper, pipe cleaners, scissors, tape. You can use cups or bags, black balloon and an orange balloon. We're going to make this into a cat. We're going to make ears for our cat. Now I want to put pink inside of these ears, so there I have my ear. Also, I want to make eyes. This is for the cat. I have my cat eyes. Now I want to make pupils for that, for our cat eyes. And I'm going to glue the pupil on. I'm just going to use hot glue because it dries really fast. Stick this onto the ear. And we want to fold that up so that we have something to tape onto the balloon. We want a nose. I'm just going to do a big round pink circle. With my white pipe cleaners, I'm going to make whiskers. There you've got whiskers. And I cut a little teardrop out for a mouth. With our cup, we're going to fill it with candy. Mmm, yummy. Tape on your cat. Now to embellish these, I got some ribbon, streamers. I'm just going to tie it, take some of my pink ribbon, I'm going to tie it tight so that streamer doesn't move, and then knot it. Cross this over here like that, and then cross this one over, and then knot that. I'm going to do the same thing to my pumpkin. They're so cute. I like my party favors. This is the next little guy we're going to do. I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. Make sure you get one of your parents to do this. And I want to cut a mouth. And those will be my ears. Put a little glue on the back. Going to make some teeth. So I want to cut little triangles. And right at the edge of the mouth. I'm going to cut some of this hair off. Just put some glue and lay this hair on. Whatever's not stuck on, I'm going to pull back and cut off. Put a little bit more glue under here. Cut that off. I'm going to bend the ears out, and I want to make sideburns. And we want to put some more hair on his face. Okay, and we want to cut some of that excess off. Need some eyes. And for the final touch, we're going to glue his head into our sleeve. Hey, I'm the wolf man. Oh! We're going to make this great little free little critter. What we need is a boa, scissors, pipe cleaners, and hot glue, and eyeballs. I'm just going to cut off a piece of this about 2-3 inches long. I'm just folding it into 3, and then with my pipe cleaner, I'm going to wrap it around and twist it. My pipe cleaners are going to be the legs. So we have some legs here. Now that I have it twisted and tied, I'm going to trim off some of these feathers because they're a little long. Okay, give it a nice little haircut there. Okay, we want to make it have 8 legs. So there's 4, 6, and 8. And then we bend out the legs. We want to bend it just right in the top third. And we've got our little spider. And then with a little hot glue, and take some of the feathers that I cut off and just glue them on top. That way you can't see where pipe cleaners have gone. And all this little guy needs is eyeballs. Spiders have 8 eyes, so we're going to put 2 on the front, a couple on its back, and I'm going to put little tiny eyes. We'll put a couple right on its rear. And we got our crazy little spider friend. So, in order to turn my house into the perfect Halloween home, we need gravestones. All you need is pink styrofoam. I'm just going to eye in my round corner. Pink styrofoam is really easy to cut with simple stick knives. Make sure you get your mom or dad to do this. So we're going to round out the corners quite simply by cutting them off. I've used the same white primer that I applied on the tombstone in the first place, and I have this leftover porch paint, and I'm not going to mix it because I want my white and my gray on my brush, and it gives a really great stone-like effect. Now we're going to do our lettering, and basically the concept is to keep in mind the size of a rectangle. So the rectangle would be like this. My letter would fit into that. So do like half a circle, come down and meet up with the bottom. So it would be carved deep into the stone, etched in. So I'm just making little lines like that. Then with a lighter gray, I'm going to go in and shade. And it really gives the illusion of 3-dimension. And then with my super light gray, fill in all the rest. And to finalize my great tombstone, we want to go in and make some cracks. And we've got ourselves a little headstone. And now what I've done is I've taken stakes in the back and I've secured them to the back of the tombstone and stuck them really deeply into the ground, piled up all the leaves in front to make it look like a mound of dirt. I actually rented a professional spiderweb maker. Look up closely at the tombstones, there's all sorts of spider webs on them. They look really real. And if you take cocoa or flour or something and just blow it on, it really shows up the spider web. It's really cool. Now we're going to do this great werewolf hand. Very simply done with latex gloves, some plaster of Paris, and hair and nails and a sleeve shirt. Once you have the plaster of Paris in the glove, of course, before it dries, tie it off with a piece of string, and then you could just basically lie it down, or you can hang it up until it hardens. I'm going to leave the glove on. It's much easier to work with. First, I'm going to draw onto the glove. I'm going to color it all in like hair. Cut some of this off. So what I'm going to do is put some glue across with a hot glue gun and then lay the hair down. I want to keep on doing that all the way down the fingers. Now I'm going to put some fake nails on, and we just want to glue them on. And I'm going to color them in black, and I'm going to leave the tips clear. Just finishing off the last nail with red. And our hand is complete. I want to put some hot glue in the inside of the sleeve. There, stick it on the bottom. And then I can put hot glue in the rest and leave where the button is open. I want to button it up. Here we have our ghoulish hand. You can also do this hand green like a witch. You can make it red like a devil. You can make it white like a dead person. Maybe splatter some blood on it, give it some gory effect. Have it crawling out of the earth. Now we're going to make this really fantastic, scary hockey guy. This is something else that I want to hang in front of my house when I decorate for Halloween. For the hanger, you want to just bend it forward. And we're going to stick the mask on here. I'm going to secure it onto the back of my hanger. I'm going to take that and I'm just going to twist it around and pin it. I'm going to secure these little lights, and I'm going to actually angle them so that we've got two lights for his eyes. For this project, what we need: white plastic garbage bags, white balloon, pair of scissors, Scotch tape, and black markers. We're going to use a pump just so that I don't blast my cheeks out. To use one of these, you put the balloon right over top of the nozzle and hold it right down tight, and then you just pump it. Of course, if you're doing this with helium, you'd have to fill it with helium first, but this one is going to actually just sit. Tie that like so. Now you have your balloon. You want to take your plastic bag, fold it lengthways. I'm cutting off the end where it's sealed. And then long ways, I'm going to cut long lines into this. Now we have our tassels. I just got this at a costume store. It's actually just a little girl's hula skirt. Put it on like I would a waist. I have another hula skirt. And tape it all the way around. Tape off the end. I'm going to flip it upside down. Pull all these tassels down flat. Then with our marker, we're going to put some eyes. This one's shocked that it's burnt. Just cold coming out of the shower. A couple of lays. Want to secure these lays in the back also. We have some sunglasses. And there we have our ghost. There we've got our hula boo. And we've got our blue boo. And we can hang them up wherever we want. I'm going to make a whole bunch of these for the party. make something that creates a lot of movement in the wind. And it's really simple. A big balloon. Tie that off. Put it inside a white garbage bag. Bring it down so the corners are tucked in. Tie it off with a twist tie with a black garbage bag. I'm going to cut a hole right in the center. Stick this into the hole like so. And with another twist tie, we want to tie it and take the corners and wrap that all up. And when someone comes walking up the walkway, this blowing in the wind will freak them out. And we want to put black eyes and a mouth. And then we'll secure that into either our eaves trough or our branches. And when the wind catches that, it'll be really great. A great little project for your Halloween windows are silhouettes. This is a reverse silhouette, and I've glued tissue paper on the back, and when the light shines through that, that'll be like really spooky. Included with the video are printable PDF silhouettes. So a whole bunch of great silhouettes that you can print off on your home computer, cut them out, and they're ready to go. Hang them in the window. What I'm going to do is a reverse silhouette. I like this spider, so I think I'll go with that. When you cut out the spider, make sure that you don't cut the outside white part. If you're really careful, you can hang the spider as well as the reverse silhouette. Okay, we have our spider. I'm going to hang that in the window. And this is my template. I'm using a yellow pencil, and you just want to trace out the shape of the spider. And then I'm going to cut out this spider. You want to punch a hole into the center, so you can just cut it out. Little snippet here. What we're going to do with that is I'm going to glue tissue paper on it, and it will be like a stained glass. You want to grab just one piece of tissue. You don't need a really big piece, just enough to cover the spider. Get some glue, and we want to put glue all the way around our cutout silhouette. And then once that's done, I'm going to glue down our tissue paper, lay it flat, dab it down, and when we hang that in the window and the light shines through, it'll look really awesome. We're going to do this great little project of the voodoo shrunken head. For these great little shrunken heads, need an apple. I'm just going to use my knife to peel it, but it's probably best that you get an apple peeler. Once the apples are peeled, we're going to carve our face on this. I'm going to cut 2 long lines in to create a triangle. And that's basically my nose. And then I want to do 2 semicircles for the eyebrow. Just scoop out from the nose over to the brow this section. And that actually gives the eye socket area. Cut a chunk out from the bottom for its mouth. It's better to carve a little at a time rather than more, because once it's off, That's it. You can't really put it back. Now I have the depth of the mouth. And I want to carve two little triangles here for the nostrils. There I have my face. And the classic eyes for these apple head dolls are cloves. So you just take the cloves, stick them in where you want your eyes. If you're going to dry them over time, over a couple of months, the best place to put them is a closet. For some reason, the darkness helps them dry really well. Once you have your shrunken head shrunken, we want to put some hair on it. So with some hot glue, stick on these old hair extensions. Keep on putting glue, adding them on. We have ourselves real voodoo type shrunken head. Great little Halloween head. I always go with store-bought things because I'm not that much of a chef, and so this is a great way of doing all of these things if you're not that talented in the cooking department. I buy store-bought items like this icing, for example. It's perfect consistency. I'm working on making orange right now, so I have some yellow, I've added some red, and it's become a little too pink. So all it needs is a little more yellow. Just add in a little tiny bit at a time and then mix it in. Otherwise, if you have too much color, it's very difficult to take out the color. Okay, I'm mixing my red now. Look at that, it looks like blood. Look at that beautiful green. Isn't that a great Halloween green? It's beautiful black. Looks like tar right off the road. Look at that black, it's awesome. Now I'll get my muffin. And we're going to, this is cute, I'm going to make a whole bunch of little pumpkins. Cover the whole muffin like so, and look at, they look like little pumpkins. They've got the little lines. Okay, this is really cool. These little sponge cakes, I've taken chocolate icing, and I'm going to cover up the top here. Then, little digestive cookies. Stick it in there. Oh, with a little brownie mix. Going to crumble up the brownie onto it to make it look like dirt. These are our little graves. Before I put my black into my cake decorating tubes, I'm going to take a little bit and I'm going to create a great little scene on this cake. It's going to be my sky. Take some of my green and put some earth. Make a little grassy hill. And with my white, I just have to go like that for my moon. And as you can see, I've added a little tombstone into this picture. All right. I'm really excited about my table setting. It turned out fantastic. I'll share with you what I did, and they're really, really easy ideas. Green Kool-Aid, and I filled some latex gloves with water and froze them. And if you put some hot water on the glove, they slip out quite nicely. I took cauliflower, boiled it for a bit, and with some mashed potatoes, added all of the food coloring I had to mix it to make it a gross, mucky color. And those are pickled onions for the eyes and some veggie wiener slices fried for the weird things coming out of the brain. Cheese strings. You cut little slices into the cheese and then rub some food coloring on it. The little slices get filled with the food color and it looks like the creases in your finger. And almonds for fingernails, boiled eggs, and stick the little olive slices into the egg, and a little food coloring for veins, and it makes a perfect little creature there. Gelatin with maraschino cherries and raisins and gummy worms and food coloring. I have macaroni here. All you have to do is put some food dye into the water and it colors it beautifully. And these are mushrooms with olives in them and then painted on the veins. This is also just food coloring on pasta with some olives and veggie wieners. Here we've got a bun with melted cheese and veggie wiener with some steak sauce. On this side I have our desserts. I completed my cake. I added a tree and I added some dirt and some brownies like I did my little tombstone angel food cake, graves. This is a great little grave here. Got a little spoon for a shovel. I found this little plastic skeleton and I washed it because it's in food. It's like a little gravestone in there, some cookie crumbs, and it's just brownies. It's really great. We've got on the table as centerpieces a marshmallow snake, just marshmallows and toothpicks all stuck in. We've got our little spiders here. They're really great. The little eyes are Cheerios. This guy's got pretzel legs and this guy's got black licorice legs. These little marshmallow guys are great. They've got gummy teeth and little chocolate chips fries. Tasty treat. I want to thank you for joining me this Halloween. I had a really great time. Remember, whenever you create a costume or you do a craft, keep safety in mind. That way you are sure to have a really fun Halloween. Thank you and have a terrifyingly good time this Halloween.
Wait. I like the people. All you do is cheese.
Ew, that's really gross.
I got more.
That's so gross.
Wait.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Skelhorn. I'm currently a teacher, but before I started teaching, I was pumpkin carving. We put so much effort into creating our costumes or decorating our homes. Why not put more effort into pumpkins? On this DVD, we'll be going through the tools you'll be using, different levels of pumpkin carving, how to care for the pumpkin once it's been carved, and other ways of decorating a pumpkin other than just carving. To start with, the tools that we'll be using. This is one of my favorite tools. It pokes through the image of the stencil and transfers it onto the pumpkin so you know where to carve. An alternative you could use is this. Or if you don't have this, you can use anything sharp and pointy, but narrow because you don't want to lose the detail in the stencil. Other important tools include a scoop. Large kitchen spoon is wonderful. Anything flat that can scrape out the inside of a pumpkin. This one is my favorite. It's a little bit sharp on one side and serrated and a little bit sharp on the other, so it may not be the best tool for children. These knives are very easy for children to use. They're dull and serrated, so they can still cut the pumpkin comfortably, but aren't dangerous. I do not recommend that you let children carve with these. These are sharp woodworking tools. We won't be using these until the more advanced pumpkins. Some other things you may find and want to use for pumpkins include stamps It looks like a typical cookie cutter, but it's slightly sharp and a little, serrated, so that's easier to grab into the pumpkin and cut through the thick skin. I have skewers here, but you can also use toothpicks, staples. This is for correcting any mistakes that you may have made on the pumpkin. You may find you need scissors at some point. If a stencil is too large for a pumpkin or can't fit around the circular area of the pumpkin, you can cut the paper and overlap it so that you don't lose the detail. Tape for taping the stencil onto the pumpkin. Ways you can light your pumpkin is by candle. Tea lights work well. Other lights, but you have to anchor them. You screw this into the bottom of the pumpkin, and then you can put a candle in here, and then it doesn't tip over. It reduces the risk of fire. Workspace should be covered most likely with newspaper. We're not using newspaper today because this table was meant for cutting. You'll need a bowl to empty out the insides of the pumpkin into. When choosing a pumpkin, it's very important to choose a good pumpkin. You want one that stands on its own, won't tip over and cause accidents. You also want one that's clean and dry, no soft spots. Here we have an example of what not to get. The top is very soft. It's almost rotted completely through. This is an example of what not to get. When it's time to start your jack-o'-lantern, take out a magic marker and draw with the magic marker the face that you want to carve. When you carve it, carve out the marker lines. That way it looks like you did it freehand. If you don't want to just do a jack-o'-lantern face, find a stencil and transfer it onto the pumpkin. Today, we're going to be starting, though, with a typical jack-o'-lantern and then moving on to something more difficult like this. So to start, to choose your pumpkin, you would like a pumpkin that's sturdy, won't tip over on its own. The last thing you want is a flame inside a pumpkin to tip over. You don't want any rot or soft spots on the pumpkin. This also affects the seeds when you want to roast them later. Shallow grooves so that you don't lose any detail on your stencil. To start, you want to cut the top off the pumpkin. Doesn't really matter how far back you go as long as it doesn't go into the carving area. If you'd like, you can draw the circle on yourself. You want it large enough that you can get one of these tools inside to get it out. You also want to have a bowl handy in order to put all the insides out. And when you're cutting, cut on an inward angle so that the lid doesn't fall through when you put it back on later. Remove the top and set it aside. I'm going to be using the loop, but again, you can use a spoon as you prefer. Scrape down the insides. You might want to wear short sleeves for this because your arms are going to get messy. The insides are a little wet, so when you start, it might slip a little bit, but once it loosens, you get down to the meat. Tradition in my household is to roast the pumpkin seeds. I like to do them with different spices, Cajun spice. I've even caramelized them, made them into candy. You don't want to carve too deep in your pumpkin, or else you lose some of the stability of the pumpkin. Nor do you want to leave it too thick, or else you'll be carving through that deep on larger pumpkins. You want to leave it about 4 centimeters to or 1.5 inches deep for stability. You want to clean all the goop out. Draw on whatever face you'd like. Halloween is a scary time, so let's not make anything too cheerful. And make a scared looking pumpkin. Typical triangle eyes always work well. Nose and mouth. Take your knife and start at the corner of one of the eyes and saw your way up. Don't force it through or you might tear the skin. Start at the next corner. So saw gently, don't force the knife through, by pushing it up, you might tear the skin. The way I have drawn this one, it includes eyeballs. Just saw to the eyeball and start again over. Don't be afraid of cutting it out into different sections. You don't need it to come out all in one piece. Depending on the marker you use, you can take a wet cloth and wipe off the marker afterwards. Take a cloth, wipe all the excess off your jack-o'-lantern. After it's carved, you can add your own details. For instance, take a permanent marker and color in the eyeballs. To light the pumpkin, take a larger candle or a couple small candles, place them inside. Now take your lid that you cut out before, cut off any excess skin, and be sure to cut a notch out of the lid to let heat escape so you don't burn it. And put it back in. And there you go. But we're going to move on now to a little bit more difficult. You can take inspiration from anything for a pumpkin. I like to follow what my friends or family are doing as costumes. So if they're doing a group of superheroes, maybe I'll do a superhero. You can take ideas from popular culture. You can take ideas from your own head. Today, we have already opened up this pumpkin and cleaned it out. Created this stencil. Start by cutting out around your picture. Place the stencil on the pumpkin, tape it along the edges. If it wants to fold over, just allow it to over a blank spot, fold it over, and tape it down as well. Take the poker that we were discussing earlier and trace the outline. Keep your holes close together so when you're carving, you don't lose the detail. When you remove the stencil, you have a perfect copy underneath. Keep the stencil, though, to refer to for when you're carving through. So you want to start with the center and the smallest details and work your way out. Looking at the stencil, the center would be the face. So we'll go from the center and up because we've got the top cut out. So we need something to keep it more stable for cutting around here. And then we'll do the head and then the rest of the body. This is one of my favorite blades. It's small, it's serrated, I can cut through quickly. But you don't want to go through too quickly, or else you risk ripping it or cutting off parts that you don't want to cut off. Then you can just, once you've done one piece, you can just push it through. Now, I told you to start from the middle and work your way out. If I hadn't done that, if I wanted to carve something else on the head, it wouldn't have the stability to be able to hold the knife going through it. So that's why we start with the smaller details and work our way out. On the stencil, you'll notice that there are spots that aren't cut out. This is to keep it stable too. If we had cut out the whole outline, the whole center would have completely fallen out. This is our intermediate pumpkin. Next, we'll be doing one a little bit more difficult. We'll be scraping through as well. let's try something more intermediate to advanced. Earlier, I showed you this stencil. We're going to try this one now. I like to start from the top. More of a four corners idea. Then, like the last time, we poke through. Except this time, we've got the body here. The legs are a little thicker, so we'll want to put more pokes around the legs so that we know how thick to go. Remember to keep your holes close together for when you take off the stencil, you can see where you have to carve. When it comes time to carving it, we're going to have to scrape through instead of cut all the way through on the spider web, or else these pieces would fall completely out. This is a pretty basic design, very geometric. So it doesn't take long to transfer the stencil. Now that we're finished poking this stencil through, we remove it once again and keep the stencil to guide us in our carving. Starting at the head and the pinchers at the very front, we're working our way back. Now I'm only going to do the head of the body right now, and I'm going to leave the piece in. That'll keep it more stable when I'm doing the legs from the bottom up. Start at the end of the leg and on each side of the poked holes. Saw slowly up. This is a game of patience. If you try to rush it, you will most likely cut something off. See, this is what happens when you do the wrong spot first. You can see it's moving. Don't want to break it off down here. And good, I didn't. Now that we're finished cutting out the spider, notice that the spider web, these pieces are going to fall out if I cut all the way through, all the way around it. So we're going to use a different tool now. We're only going to scrape part of the way through. We're not going to cut all the way through. You're just going to take off the skin. So that's one side of the line. That's the other side of the line. Now I'm just kind of hooking underneath basically and pulling up the skin. For straight lines like this, I like a straight blade. But you can also use a right angle blade. That way you can go down the middle if you have a more steady hand than I do. Or you can use a curved blade where you'd come through again, and then meet instead of the way I do it, which is come down either side and kind of pry it out. Now that we've done carving the spider and scraping out the web, we're going to accessorize a little bit with pipe cleaners. And we're going to finish off this spider web. I've got it started already over here, but this is pretty easy. Just take some short lengths of pipe cleaner and then just wrap it around each other like a spider web. Just keep wrapping one around the next to the next. Our web's not looking too bad, is it? Now that you've made the web, this is how to apply it. Take a skewer or something strong and sharp and poke a couple holes around the outside. Take the web and set them inside. Anchor them into these holes so that it won't fall off easily. And now we have the continuation of the web. I think this black widow should have some babies. Take a couple of these plastic spiders and just stick them on randomly. There we go. And there we have it. Pumpkins were not the original lanterns. Originally, it was a turnip used. It started out with Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack was a rat. One day, he convinced the devil to climb up a tree and pick them both some fruit. While the devil was up the tree, Jack carved a cross onto the tree and told the devil he would not let him down unless he promised not to take him to hell when he died. So the devil agreed. Jack took off the cross, and the devil went on his way. When Jack died, because he was such a scoundrel, heaven would not take him. And as promised, the devil would not take him either. So Jack was doomed to wander purgatory. So the devil gave Jack an ember from the hellfires. And Jack took a turnip out of his pocket and put the ember in it and carved a lantern out of it to light his way through purgatory. According to this Irish folklore, the Irish would carve turnips, rutabagas, and other large vegetables to ward off evil spirits and Stingy Jack. When they moved to North America, they discovered that pumpkins made better lanterns. Ha ha. So the turnip has a hard center. So I'm going to be using this melon baller to help clean it out. It's small and it's more precise, so I won't carve too far out into the turnip. Now, I don't actually recommend that you carve a turnip. It's just something different and fun if you choose to do so. We're just going to do a little jack-o'-lantern here. Drawing the eyes on. Nose. Ever notice noses always come out as triangles? And sideways smile, smirk. There we go. A turnip is quite thick, so I've got out a larger, stronger blade. So I'm going to start with the mouth this time because it's further down for me. Now you might find it easier to, instead of sawing at it, kind of come in and out onto it. The meat is rather tough and it was quite difficult to clean out. But you still get some personality, you get some odd colors to it, the wax on it gives it a nice texture. But this is my Quasimodo turnip. And so to light it, I don't recommend putting the lid back on because then it's too close to the flame whether or not you carve a notch out of it or not. And this is our Stingy Jack. Our next stencil, we're bringing out the frank. So as before, take the Scotch tape and tape it on. And then you poke. Does not matter where you start, just make sure you don't lose your spot and that you get all the details. Keep the pokes close to each other so you can follow the stencil later. Follow on both sides of the line to show how thick it is to keep it continuous. I may be working from this position for the cameras. My preferred position for carving is in front of the TV and working in my lap. It's a lot more comfortable. And if you don't want to sit cross-legged, sitting in a chair is perfectly fine. You need patience for pumpkin carving. So set aside a good hour if you're doing a simple stencil and don't feel rushed while you're doing it. If you're worried about missing a spot, you can always look at the back of the paper and you'll see the exact replica of what you've just poked through. And you even see the lines through the paper. If you've missed a spot, don't fret. Just find maybe a top corner, something you can recognize. Poke her back through. Find that same hole or approximate spot up on your pumpkin and line it up with the other side. Right there. For instance, if I had forgotten his nose, then I could just start poking his nose then. So now to start carving, keep your stencil to refer back to. If the pumpkin is a very wet pumpkin, then water will come out when you're poking at it and it might disintegrate the paper. Just keep an extra copy of it just in case. So take your blade. I'm going to start with the stitches in his forehead, these parts of the stitches in his forehead. So I'm going to start with just one stitch. And there we go, one stitch. I like to stop and inspect what I've just cut after each section. So if I were to look into the stitches right now, I'm going to notice that I didn't cut straight through. I kind of cut on an inward angle. So by cutting on an inward angle, not as much light's going to come through. If I had cut straight through, as much light's going to come through as possible. To fix that, all you have to do is come back through with a little bit longer blade. Just cut on the inside. It's not going to destroy your detail on the outside if you're careful. So as we finish this one up, I think I want to accessorize this one a little bit more. Here we have Frankenstein, and Frankenstein's missing his bolts. So I'm going to take a couple mushrooms, because they're shaped like bolts, and incorporate them in. Cut it on an angle. Take a couple toothpicks, stick them in to the side of Frank. Here's our scary Frankenstein. Carving's not the only thing you can do with a pumpkin. You can also paint them. Small pumpkins are great for that. What I'm doing right now is sketching a picture onto the pumpkin right now in crayon so that I can get an idea of the balance of how far down I have to put the face. I'm doing a witch. How far down I have to put the face to be able to have enough of the hat on. This pumpkin has a great stem that I can actually use as part of the hat. The paint we'll be using today is a washable poster paint in many different colors as possible. I'm just going to trace the outline of this picture in marker. So bring down a line down here and keep the stem as part of the hat. We can paint that later. This is just to create an outline of what we're doing. We're going to be filling it in with paint later. I'm going to make my witch a little bit goofy with buck teeth. I think her nose can be bigger than that. Hair, jaw. I think we'll put a little wart on her nose as well. There we go. So there's just a basic outline. So there's just a basic outline. I have here regular flat paint, but I also have sparkly paint. Follow the outline. You can put it on a little thick so that you can't see the orange through it. Leave her mouth out. So I'm going to be coloring that in with another color afterwards. It might take a while to dry compared to a normal picture because I'm putting it on a little thicker than normal. And I might have to come along afterwards and redraw in the lines to define her nose. And the texture of the paint actually gives her face nice kind of definition, makes her look warty and lumpy. Next, I'm going to do her eyes white. I'm going to define her eyeballs black afterwards, after the paint has dried. But you still may see her eyeballs peeking out through the white paint. So you'll know where to put them, where you wanted to put them in the first place. Or you can change it if you prefer. I don't have a flat black here, so I'm using a charcoal gray blue kind of color here, which I think actually makes it look almost metallic. Inside her mouth should be black, and her hat will be black. There we go. Now the stem is part of the hat. And notice, since the stem tilts, so does the hat. Never see a picture of a witch with a straight hat. So now we want to give her some hair. And I want sparkly green. It's also a dark green. Which witch doesn't have green hair? Again, I'm using a larger paintbrush because her hair will take up more room than her face or her mouth. And you want a much different green. If you've got two greens next to each other or two blues next to each other, you want them to be contrasting colors. You don't want them to be the same green, or else they'll just blend into each other. You could also take wool or pipe cleaners. I have pipe cleaners here, and make hair out of that if you want to add a different dimension to it. And notice that you can't see the black through it. We already have orange background, we already have a blue-gray, and we have green. So the main opposite color we have left is purple. Again, you might have to load it on a little bit to cover up the color of the orange. Lastly, I still need to do her teeth. I don't think her teeth should be sparkly though. So let's do her teeth yellow. I think the yellow actually looks like a moon behind her, so we now have a witch standing in front of a moon.
Oh, happy Halloween!
I told you earlier you didn't have to carve just pumpkins to make a jack-o'-lantern. You can actually add other fruits and vegetables to your jack-o'-lantern to make it more interesting. For instance, kids, warning to you. This is what'll happen if you eat too much candy on Halloween. This was just a face carved into it, pulling out the insides through the mouth, and adding a carrot for a tongue. Add a little hat, and he's got a little personality now. If your pumpkin just won't stand up straight, put it in a basket or put it on something that'll make it more stable. I've turned this one into a baby. Add a soother, and the stem works as a natural facial feature. I'm going to give this baby some hair. What's Halloween without an alien? We may be able to carve pumpkins, but we can also carve other fruits. Watermelons have become quite popular lately. Our alien needs eyes. The natural color of the fruit make the eyes look bloodshot already. But if you take radishes, radishes are very easy to work with. You can carve off the red and leave the eyes bloodshot, or you can just carve them out and make the whites around the eyes and give them evil eyes. Take a toothpick, stick it through the bridge of the nose here, the other radish, the other side. You have eyeballs. Anise ears, keep with the green theme, and some lips. We've reserved the skin that we've carved away from other areas, and to add them, again, toothpicks or skewers, and stick it straight into the fruit. Add a little okra for ears. We have our alien, and a delicious one at that. Potato eating alien. I used okra again for the eyebrows. Radishes, again for the eyes. I didn't get as detailed with the eyes this time because I wanted them to be small and beady. Give them some horns. I'm using low bok for the horns. It's an Asian fruit. And since this is a potato eating alien, here's the one he caught, which we carved earlier. It's a potato. And here's the one with legs that got away. If you have company coming over on Halloween and you need a quick, easy idea for decorating inside, take a grapefruit or an orange or some sort of large citrus, cut off the top, cut off the bottom so it gives something to stand on. This grapefruit has a little nose already naturally, just a typical little face. So I'm just going to do little triangle eyes. Leave the fruit inside or else you'll have no stability at all when carving the skin. And don't worry about the grapefruit juice on you. Can't be that bad. With the skin, just pull out all the pulp. When you light the candle in it, it'll also give a nice smell of grapefruit to the house. Not exactly the most Halloween smell, but always a nice potpourri. So now dry it off. All the meat is now out of the grapefruit. Little candle in it. And there you go. Here we're doing a creation that's going to take a lot more work. If you notice on the stencil, we have white area, black area, and gray area. The black area we're going to carve all the way through so that you see the light from the candle inside it. The gray area, we're just going to carve part of the way through. That way you still get some light, and the white area we're going to leave the skin all the way up. That way you get a three-dimensional kind of feel to it, and you get a lot more detail. I have already poked out along all the edges, so I'm going to start with the eyes today, and then work my way down to the teeth and then up through the head, and leave these parts to last. One of the problems that you may find when you create your own stencil is that nothing's going to be holding on. So you've got to be willing to be flexible. The center of the eyes here, because the black is cut all the way through, the white, the center of the eye here, will fall through. So if I leave this as just one hole, then I'll get more light shining through with the candle. The nose here is also just hanging, nothing holding on to it. So I'm going to change this part into just scraping through instead of carving all the way through, just taking off the first layer of skin. If you find that your knife is too short to fit through the skin, your skin's too deep. So just take your scoop and just pass it along. Just don't wait too long to do it, or else you might lose pieces that you've already carved out. Also, if you're having a hard time seeing the holes, feel free to take some sort of fine powder, whether it be baby powder. I'm going to take some dirt from our graveyard and just rub it on the front. That way you can see the holes a little bit better. These details require a lot more precision, so I'm going to sit down where I'm more comfortable and I can look at it a lot closer. So when I'm scraping out an area, I like to take this tool, the straight tool, and trace the outline of what I want to scrape. So what I've done is I've taken it and followed this line around like this. And then I'm going to take this tool or this tool. This one has a 90-degree angle. And I just come in underneath, and it pretty much just comes right off after that. In the same outline that you just traced. If you don't feel it's deep enough, you can come across later and bring it deeper. For smaller details, you want to leave that raised, for instance. You'll come along both sides and do it. So we're almost done this pumpkin now. There's just a couple of larger pieces to cut out so that when we put the candle in, the light will shine through it. One of the problems that you may face with your pumpkin is that it might shrivel and you might lose detail. The best thing I find is to use petroleum jelly. This project here for a first time deal would be 3 hours. Be patient, it'll come. Once you're done with the pumpkin, it's always a nice idea to use the seeds. My family tradition used to be just salt them. We used to use popcorn salt because it was finer and it stuck better to the oil with the seeds. But now we like to add a lot of different spices. My favorite happens to be Cajun, so I've got Cajun spice here in order to play. You start with about 2 cups of seeds. Take out the big chunks of the inside. You can rinse them if you prefer, but it does add some flavor to it. There are no exact measurements in this either. It's just to liking. So you take a little oil, just enough to coat it. You don't want to put too much in, or else it'll just never dry. So just throw in a couple tablespoons worth, mix it up. And then you choose your spice of liking. Garlic pepper's another one. Just plain garlic's another one. So take the Cajun spice, and again, it's to taste. I'd say for 2 cups, about a tablespoon, tablespoon and a half. Cayenne's another nice idea. And there you've got them lightly coated with oil. You take a cookie sheet or a shallow baking dish. Put your seeds in the baking dish and even it out into a nice single level. Cooking times may vary. If you have enough time on your hands, it's always nice to start with a lower temperature. 300 degrees would take you about 40 minutes. At 325, half an hour, and at 350, 20 minutes. It's all to your taste. When it's dry and golden brown, they're finished. A newer idea I've been using is caramelizing them. I went and saw a recipe for caramelized pumpkin seeds, but I've put a new twist on it myself. So what I've taken is about 2 cups of seeds again, but you put them in the oven again with nothing on it. You just dry them out. Then take a skillet, put in about 2 tablespoons of oil again, about a tablespoon of sugar, and then mix some spices to your liking. I use cinnamon and cayenne in this recipe. Once the oil is heated up, put the pumpkin seeds in the skillet and mix them quickly. The sugar will caramelize and harden on top of the seeds. It's a nice sweet snack. These are all great recipes. And remember that your choices are infinite. Play with spices, what spices you like. Make them sweet, make them tart if you'd like. But this is what we like to do with seeds. So have fun. Well, I think that's all for us today. I think we've given you a lot of ideas to be able to follow this Halloween. Bring your own ideas to your pumpkin. Each pumpkin has a personality. See what your pumpkin wants you to carve into it. The sky's the limit. So thank you for joining us today. Have a safe and happy Halloween.
Hi there, and welcome to my lair. My name is Deborah, and it is my favorite time of year. It's Halloween, and I'm thrilled to be here today with you, and we're going to do some amazing costumes so that you could have the best Halloween ever. What we're going to do is take some simple costumes, and I'm going to show you how you could take these costumes and turn them into other costumes. Basically, being creative and taking something from nothing and creating it into something. Before we get started, we're going to go over some simple safety techniques. First of all, in setup, you want to create a very, very comfortable area. Make sure that the chair that you're working with is high enough so that you're not bending over and hurting your back. A lot of these markers and paints are designed for fabric and not the skin. So when you purchase your products for your face or your skin, make sure that it says on it that they're specifically for the face and the skin. Now we're going to go over brushes and paint. One of the brushes that I love to use for putting a lot of paint on the face is a sponge brush like this. You can get these at hardware stores or a craft store. I got this one at a craft store. The second brush that I love to use is a flat brush, somewhat like that. You can use larger brushes for large areas rather than using a sponge. Another brush that I love to use is this brush, the fan brush. This brush is really great for smoothing out a lot of paint. I tend to use it dry. It's very, very soft brush. It's almost like a blush brush for makeup. But I did get it at a paint store, so it's actually a paint brush. This angled brush is really great because it's flat. It can cover a lot of area, and it also can do fine details because of the point. Two other brushes that I really love to use are really fine tip brushes. These are for details like eyelashes and whiskers and I don't know, anything else that you want to do that is finely detailed. If you really want really great paint, what I think is really great is the professional theatrical paint. because every year I love Halloween so much. I really like to have really good paint on hand. Theatrical paint doesn't sweat off. If it rains, it won't drip off. You could get value packs during Halloween. They work just as well, and if it's just for one night, it's great. These paints are really great. And also you could get a lot of things like fake blood, glitter, gooey stuff. Some of these things comes with scar kits and all that great gory stuff. With some simple costumes and some simple face painting techniques, we can get many looks by just mixing and matching. And we're going to get started now. I've completed putting all of the black spots onto the white turtleneck and the white pants for our Dalmatian costume, and we have it on our model. Come here, girl. Come here, girl. Okay. Now, we've made ears simply by putting felt onto a headband and then cutting big eyeball shapes, almond shapes, stapling them on and putting pink inside. Those are the perfect little doggy ears. And we're going to cover her face with white. I'm actually not going to make it perfect. I'm going to use a smaller flat brush because what I want to do is I want to get it in close to her eye because one of the eyes I'm going to make actually black. And we want to just add a couple more spots. I'm going to take a finer brush, long skinny one. I'm going to put her mouth. We're going to go in with the pink. I'm going to paint a tongue. And I'm going to put a little bit of pink underneath her nose. And then I'm going to finish it off with the black. That way it's not too harshly black. It looks soft, like a white dog's nose would. We're going to outline the tongue with red. And put a line down the middle. We've got ourselves a Dalmatian. Good girl. You want this, good girl? You want this? What's Halloween without a black cat? Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Okay, this is Akita. Hi, Akita.
Hello.
We're going to start off with some white paint. Making her little mustache. A great variation of this would be a panda bear, and you can actually, the way I'm going to make her eyebrows here, you can actually make a line right around and paint it all in black on both sides. She could be a panda bear or a raccoon. What I'm doing here is just little fine strokes. I'm going to make a line down the center. And her lip, upper lip. I'm going to do a few little dots. And then long lines for the whiskers. We're going to paint some eyeliner on her. Basically, that's it. We can elaborate on that by adding more definition to the hair. When you're painting the eyelids, make sure that they keep their eyes shut until the paint dries. Otherwise, you'll get a crease on the top of the eye. And we're going to give her a pink nose. You can also take the same face and without the whiskers, put in a pair of buck teeth and she could be a rabbit. I'm going to put a little pink on her lips. Mess up her hair. Okay, for some finishing touches. What's a cat without a collar?
Exactly.
Okay, and I could paint her nails. Some of these fake nails you could buy are really, really long. And leaving them long would be really great because then they look really claw-like. I bought this lei at a costume store. And this is going to be her cat's tail, tied onto her pant loop. The perfect kitty cat. Here's an awesome costume that's really fun and super easy to make. It's really popular. Come on out, kitty, kitty, kitty. It's a tiger. All right. So this is a simple costume to make. What we did was we got orange turtleneck, orange track pants, and with a marker just drew on the stripes. And out of felt, we just cut out a big stomach and glued that on. And I glued on black onto the headband and then cut out stripes of orange. And these are just circles. And what I do is I cut little jags into the circles after I put these big triangles on, so the little jags line up. I covered the middle with this little white. First it was like an oval, and I just cut like triangles into it. And it's really simple. With a black marker, put a little bit of black, and there we have his tiger ears. With my wide fan brush, I'm going to paint on some orange all over his face. And we're just going to put that orange all over, except for around his mouth. I'm going to make a white whiskery beard. And with the white, I'm also going to go in over his eyes. Don't scrunch them. Just relax, relax. And I'm going to paint on your stripes. Look at me, hon. After completing the triangles, I'm going to go in and we're going to give him a nice black nose. And with the fine brush, we want to draw his mouth. The final touches, a few little whisker marks. And we have a nice tiger. Don't bite me. And if you want to get really vicious, we could put these crazy teeth on. Hi, Shallyn. Okay, we're going to do Shallyn up as that lovely mummy. First, we're going to cut some of this gauze into smaller pieces. I'm going to cut it lengthwise because I need smaller strips for her face. I'm going to get some of my liquid latex. I'm going to do a couple dabs here and there. We don't want to put a lot. And we're going to just put it over. We don't want to cover her nostrils, so we're going to leave this hanging here. I want this one closer to her lip. One thing you have to make sure when you're doing this is not to wrap it too tight. It will cut the circulation off your kid. I'm going to put one over her nose, and I'm just kind of twisted it a little bit. I'm going to bring it up over her head like that, right over her ear. I'm just going to put this one across, and this is how you cover the top of the head. And we're going to wrap her body now. Pin it onto the back. Start wrapping. I'm going to get you to start turning a little bit. And you want to start draping. We tea-dyed the shirt underneath because a lot of it is actually going to come through. And we're going to keep on turning her and wrapping her until she's pretty much all mummified. I'm going to do her hands with the gauze. I'll pin this at the end. Before I close it, what I'm going to do is take one of my pieces of gauze and I'm going to use the same pin to start this off. Make sure that you don't stretch it too tight. If you stretch it and make it tight, it will cut the circulation off. So you have to keep it very loose. And you don't necessarily have to do all the fingers. It gives a good effect if you do. And I'm going to take this and grab the same pin, and I'm going to stick on this fabric and then cover it back up. I'm just going to take this and sticking it in her shoe. I'm going to take the soft gauze because it stretches well, and I'm going to wrap her entire shoe. And it's best that she wears a white shoe. And we tuck in, drape it, tie it. We're wrapped up here. I'm gonna pat it. We want to really darken the eye area. You could take lines and you could go over the whole mummy. Now I'm gonna darken up in here. I'm going to put the liquid latex actually on the cotton. Make sure that you do it very well so that the eyes are still quite visible. And I'm going to go over that. I'm just going to put it on the nose part here. I want it kind of hanging over her mouth, so it kind of is a little more scary. With her hands, very similar to the other things that I've done. I just brown up her fingers, and we're done. Now we're going to work on something that is really actually something is, I think, a part of me, because I have a little wolf in me. We're going to do werewolf. All you have to do is get some hair pieces. These are little clips that you could buy. We're going to cut some of this hair off. They're real professional, actually, like hair extensions that you could get. We're going to be cutting some of this hair off. We need our liquid latex, because that's going to be our glue. And another thing that you could do is cut hair off of a bear or stuffed animal that you don't want anymore. You just hold the hair out and you could cut it really close. What we're going to be doing is gluing this onto the face. This flat brush is a perfect brush to use for application of the hair on the face for the liquid latex. Come on in, Josh. My next victim. All right. Okay, I'll have a seat. So what we do is just dip the brush into the liquid latex, and we want to apply it evenly where we want to make the sideburns. Dries clear, so don't worry about the glue showing. And then we're going to take some of this hair and stick it on. Now you could keep on applying the glue, or the liquid latex rather, over top and keep layering it. Once it sets, you can make it as bushy or as thick as you want. Now that I have both sides on with this hair, I'm actually going to be putting this wig on him. I want to make the sideburns match the wig. So it looks like it's his own hair growing there. I could just go in and pick little random curls and just cut them right at the base, and you stick it right on top of the hair. And stick some of these on. With the back of my brush, I could tack it on. Okay, now that we've got sideburns, all we need is the afro, and you can hold that because that's going to be your jewelry. And this. All right, we got a disco guy. The hair is actually going to be growing out of his face, so we want to put hair all the way across here. So we're going to take some of this little smaller hair. We're just going to stick that on there. Okay, what we want to do is make him have really bushy eyebrows. I'm going to cut another one of these curls off. This liquid latex is kind of difficult to get out of hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue just above his eyebrows, because this will be good enough for the hair to stick and it won't be in his eyebrows, so it won't be difficult to get out. You just need one of these brushes, the little thin one. Okay, I'm using my brown, doing some hair, just little quick strokes, because you can't put the glue in the hair, the actual hair, really close to the eye. So we're going to create the look with paint. We're going to get a little bit of black. I'm going to make it dark around his eyes, and I'm going to really make it dark on top. Okay, so now we're doing the nose, black all around. I did a straight line right over top, and I painted his entire nostrils. And I'm going to make his lips black. And I'm going to draw right above his nose, or paint rather, a couple lines. I'm going to pat them, make it look like he's got his nose scrunched like a mad dog. I actually cut a whole piece of the teddy bear's fabric, cover the area, and stick on the glue, stick on the fabric. And I just dabbed the glue onto his fingers. And then I take my excess hair and just stick it on. And I can either cover the whole area, and I could do crisscrosses for hair. And then with my black, we're going to paint his fingernails. There we go. We got our disco king turned werewolf. Now that we have Josh completed, I've had him change into another outfit to show how you could take the same look, and really with any outfit, it really dramatically changes the appearance of the werewolf. Put in some shinier, nicer, whiter teeth, and a nice suit with a tie, and we've got the posh werewolf. All right, want to go hunting? Okay, come on. Welcome to Earth. I'm going to paint her whole face blue, her entire eye area, making sure that it's round the top because it's going to be an actual eye. We're going to paint a pupil on that. Aliens' eyebrows aren't the same as humans. In fact, we're going to draw on another set of eyebrows and then another set of eyebrows. I'm going to just do little strange shaped scales. I'm going to draw pupil. Same brush, I'm going to outline the eye. Now don't let her open her eye until it's totally dry. I'm going to draw a line right down the center of that. And while it's wet, I'm going to just go in and tap sparkles on. And when it dries, the sparkles actually stay. Now I'm going to send her back there to get dressed, and I'm going to show you how alienish she is. Okay, has our alien got her clothes on yet?
Yes, I do.
All right. Okay. We're going to complete this look. These are just clothes I pulled out of my closet. Those are pajama pants, my slippers. These are a couple scarves I picked up. And then we have this blanket. These gloves I made I glued on barley and then painted them with blue are your perfect alien hands. We've got a beautiful, glamorous alien. What I'm working on right now is a beauty pageant contestant. Just got a ribbon, big blue ribbon. You can use a big white ribbon. We're going to show you how you can turn this costume into a few different things. She could be a dead beauty pageant. She could be a fairy or a princess or a glim glam girl. And there we've got Miss Infinity. Come on out, Miss Infinity. So you can have a seat there. Pin this on. That, and just pin it here. And I've started doing her hair. It's actually a flat iron here that I have. And it can work very much like a curling iron. And we're going to go around and curl. I'm just going in, touching up what I've done here. Before I complete her hair, I'm going to do her makeup. I really like to make it really sparkly. So the blue I have here is quite glittery. Everything's kind of over-exaggerated for Halloween, just for effect. I'm just going to put a little powder on her face. These are different colored powders, kind of blend them all together. I'm going to put a little eyeliner underneath, but not too much. We want to make her look like the girl next door. Just going to dab pink just on her cheekbones. A bit of mascara. She already has long eyelashes, but the mascara makes it look like she's actually got fake eyelashes on. Okay, and I have extra sparkle for on top. Got some lipstick, nice bright color. This is all about coloring within the lines here. So we're going to finish off her hair. All you have to do is hold the hair up after you curl it, and you can get a lot of volume in there. Just lots of volume. Get her looking all hot and sassy. And the winner is Miss Infinity!
Oh my gosh! This is such a shock to me. I want to thank my mother and my father and my friends and my whole entire family for helping me, my teachers for teaching me, Deborah for helping me with my makeup and my hair.
And what we really all would like to know is, what would you like to do for humanity, Miss Infinity?
I would like world peace and freedom and independency, and everyone in this whole world to be happy.
What is Halloween without a witch? And we've got our model. For this witch, I'm going to do her a little more glamorous. So instead of painting her entire face green, I'm going to accessorize her face with green. So I'm going to actually make her blush green. So I'm going to define her nose a little. And I'm going to bring the green up into her eye. Also, too, I'm going to make her lips green. I'm going to really emphasize her eyes. I'm going to use my black. I'm going to give her the Jackie Kennedy line. While that's drying, I'm going to go in to her brow with a bit of my white sparkles that have a little green, because her lips are blue. I'm actually going to use my blue powder here. And then I'm going to go in over her eyes with the same blue. Then what I'm going to do is go in with some sparkle. I'm going to just dab it on. I'm going with white. I'm going to put a star. With my loose sparkles, before that white dries, I'm just going to dab some of those on. Give you some crazy black hair. And we've got this witch going out on a night out on the town. Even though she's glamorous, witches can still be glamorous with warts. Now you're all ready to go out a night out on the town. This is a really simple costume. All you need to do is find simple army pants, an army jacket, and you can have a soldier. Get out of here, you little worm! At ease, soldier. Come and have a seat. And what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna use my finger and we're gonna do some camouflage. I'm gonna get some brown. It's really easy. So all we wanna do is make his face look like it's blending into the woods. I'm going to get a little bit of green. That's about all you have to do. I'll throw a little bit of black in there. Bullet belt comes in handy. And we've got ourselves a soldier. Stand at attention! Left! The other left! March! The costume we're going to work on now is a pirate costume. Come on out, Noah. First I'm going to put some scars on you. You could get liquid latex at any major department store, and it's just like kind of rubbery. So I use the back end of my paintbrush to apply it, and what you do is you apply it on thin and in layers. So while that's drying, we're going to start painting. And I'm using my nice thin brush. I'll be applying it like an eyeliner with one of my little sponges, makeup sponges. I'm going to smudge under the eyes. Then, with the latex starting to dry, I'm able to put another layer on because we want to build it up and make it look like a thick, mean scar. I'm going to use my sponge brush, a little bit of brown. With a paper towel, I'm just going to get off a lot of the moisture because I want it a little dry. I just want to make them look a little dirty now. Now I use a really, really fine small brush because I'm going to be drawing little fine hairs. Messy little lines. My assistant's going to bring out a blouse that we picked up at a second-hand shop. It's a woman's blouse, but particularly for pirates, they wore really ruffly, really kind of girly things. So here's our blouse. Thank you. Pirates wear lots of vests. We've got this fancy vest, and then there's the not so exciting vests, and then we have pants. So if you want to go get dressed, we can really elaborate, and we could try on a lot of belts, because pirates really thieve a lot, so they have a lot going on. With the bandana, if you don't find one with skulls on it, you can actually just take a regular black bandana with a little circle of white paint and then 2 lines with little dots at the ends of the lines. It makes a perfect skull and crossbones. With pirates, it's great. You could just layer and layer and layer. For scars, now these are dry. They're just kind of like sticking out. So we want to just add a little bit of color to them. We'll do a little bit of red, and we're just going to go over the scars. Same brush that I used for the hair on the face is what I'm going to use for stitches. Just do little lines over it. Turn regular sneakers into boots. I just put on a pair of black socks right over your sneakers. And if you could find 2 belts that are exactly the same, that's ideal. Oh, we got some makeshift boots. We're complete. We got a perfect little pirate, and you make a great pirate, by the way.
Thanks.
With that big, beautiful eye. The same costume can be totally changed. I'm going to turn him into a dead pirate. Decomposing faces don't have much of a beard, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to wet the cotton, just smudge it. So I've wet it quite a bit, and I'm going to take my big sponge brush, and I'm just going to spread it around, take away some of this wetness. Use my large sponge brush that can hold a lot of color, and it can spread around the face very easily. I'm going to take my big soft brush. I'm just going to like powder it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm spreading the white and smoothing out any of the lines. I'm going to be taking my flat brush, the large one, and I'm going to be using my black, because we're going to actually darken his eyes. For the nose, I'm going to use my thick brush still, and then going up the sides, I'm going to make 2 lines. You're feeling deader by the minute? We want to paint some teeth. It doesn't have to be perfect because this guy's rotting. And with the red, I'm going to actually draw where I'm going to be putting my skin. While I work on the other teeth, I want to first apply my liquid latex so that it can be drying while I finish the other side of his face. Like before at the back of the paintbrush. I'm actually making it a little globbier. It'll take a little longer to dry. I've added some teeth. Now I'm just filling them in with white. I'll be adding some white onto the rest of his skull and around his eyes. Finger's a great tool for blending. I put paint all over it, and then with my own hand, just smudge it all around. I just take a bit thicker of a brush, one of the long thin ones, and I'm going to actually paint bones. And I just pat them. Red coming off his nose. I'm going to get my red paint over where I put the skin. I'm taking my small thin brush again, and I'm going to start drawing cracks. There we go. You feel dead?
Yeah.
You are. This is our little bumblebee, and her name is Maya. Hi, Maya. All I did was I took this beautiful black dress and cut strips of yellow felt, and you can make this with wire, but these came on it already with something else on here, and we took it off and glued on pom-poms, soft little pom-poms. And we put it on you. And I'm going to paint a little bumblebee on her face. We just need a little yellow circle. Then I'm going to go in with my black. Make a little black circle. So we're going to put a black stripe on the big bumblebee. And then we're going to make a stinger and 2 antennae. We're going to put a big wing. And we have ourselves a little bumblebee. Want to show us all your beautiful bumblebee dress? Another little variation on the bumblebee is something really great. Oh, hey, there's my little ladybug. We're going to put some really nice little red cheeks on you. What we did was we drew with just a black marker some circles. Yeah, and then we're going to paint some little red cheeks on you, okay? So we're going to put one circle. Okay, just make them even. And we're going to put on your headband, and this time we put red pom-poms on. And we've got ourselves a little Maya ladybug. All right. There you go. So now for some good foot stomping cowgirls. Come on out.
Yeehaw! I'm cowboy.
All right. So, jeans, cowboy boots, and any t-shirt will do. What I'm going to do is I'm putting a wig on this cowgirl. So, I'm going to put her hair back in a headband so that I can put the wig on. We're going to dress up her shirt with something frilly. So we got this good old-fashioned kind of girl. We got some bullets. Okay, upholstery looking belts. And we've got some vests. Okay, you're gonna be the good girl. Oh, yes, Martha. Oh, there you go. Yeah! We're going to turn him into a mime. Mime is really easy. It's basically white and black paint. I'm gonna use my favorite sponge brush. The mime is a perfect white face. So basically what you have to keep in mind is keeping the line really straight around the edges. So when I'm painting, to get this really, really perfectly smooth finish, what I do is as it's drying, I go back and forth in a crisscross fashion. So as it's drying, I wait till it dries a little bit, and then I'll crisscross over it. So this is starting to dry over here, and I will go over it back and forth. Even though it's all just one color, it does take time to make it really smooth. The same techniques that I talked about in doing the skull or the dead person, you can use this technique. You can whiten the whole face and then just do the eyes and the nose and the teeth, but you would do a full set of teeth from ear to ear. And I'm going to use just this thin line brush. We're going to add a single black line underneath each one of his eyes. And we have a mime. Now, are you ready for some adventure?
Again.
All right, we're gonna turn this girl into an adventurer. So, all we have to do is get rid of that hat and the vest. My assistant's doing such a great job. All right. A little bit of black leather. A hat. Eye patch. Okay, I'll get rid of that first. So what happened to your eye?
Well, it started out one day, you know, looking for jewels and everything, and out of nowhere, gigantic crocodile comes out and bites my eye right out. After a while, I wrestled to the ground, and I have it hanging up in my house right now.
We're gonna play with gender now. So come on out, Mama. There we go. Okay, this is actually an authentic old dress from the late 50s. So we need to do a little makeup. Just a little bit of white, glittery, a little pink. Little eyeliner. Look up. Not used to having eyeliner put on you, are you?
No.
You have really nice long eyelashes, but try not to blink. These rings are really fantastic. All right, we've got a fit. And some pearls, some earrings. For the final touch. Oh, aren't you just a doll now? How does it feel to be a girl?
I feel beautiful.
Oh, toodles. Now for boyfriend, for our good girl.
What's up, my brothers?
Okay, we're gonna make a little bit of a rebel boy here. I've got a bit of black eyeshadow. I'm going to chisel in her face, angle in her nose a bit, make her brow a little heavier, everything more pronounced in the angular division. Now with my skin tone powders, I'm just gonna go in there, just make the shadows a little more natural. With my paint, just draw little lines. I'm just exaggerating her eyebrow here. Guys' brows tend to be a little thicker. We can use a bit of, this is styling paste. Now he's going on a date with his girlfriend. He wants to make himself more presentable. Styling paste is great because it really, really makes the hair pliable and workable. There we got a dude. Okay, this is an oldie but a goodie. Pack some clothes because, you know, we're just going to run away with Charlie Chaplin. So we've got our scarf. Any scarf would do. Get a piece of dowel, or it could be a stick. And we could put the next knot. Okay, we're going to run away with Charlie Chaplin. Come on out, Charlie. All right, so we've got our suit. Charlie Chaplin has bow tie. We're going to use our black paint and a flat brush. And that brush is about just the right width for Charlie Chaplin's mustache. So we just got a little good old bowler and his runaway stick, and I don't have a cane, but an umbrella will do. So Charlie Chaplin, bon voyage. We're going to create an evil wizard. Come on in. Hey, how are you? Excited about becoming an evil wizard? I'm going to mix a bit of my white and brown together, and we're going to contour his face. It's got a nice, smooth contour. I want to make it look really sharp and evil. I'm going to put a little black where the creases are. That's where I put the black. And then I'll use the white to highlight in there. I want to make his eyes kind of sunken in a little bit more, so I'm going to put black underneath and around the top, all the way up to his eyebrows. Now I want to make his eyebrows look like they're really pointy. So underneath the eyebrow, there would be a shadow. So I'm going to make his eyebrows coming up like that. He's going to be an old wizard, so I'm going to put a lot of lines with the black, gives it the illusion of depth. And he's an old wizard, so give him some white eyebrows. You don't have to be exact, because wrinkles go the way they will. I'm going to make a really crazy mustache. I'm just doing some swirly lines. like little hairs. Okay. I want to make his chin pointy and shade it as if his cheekbones are standing out because they're lighter, and then the darker is the shadow, so it's coming in to create contours on the face. Okay, now that we have his face painted, I want to make him look really old, so I'm going to put some scars on his face. Take a little bit of liquid latex, a little bit on the brush. I'm going to make a scar. This dries clear, but it gives some great 3-dimension. Now the latex has dried pretty completely, and with the pink in the middle and the skin tone around the edges, it gives it a raised effect. Now I want to change the contour of his lips. So with my white, I'm making a frowning type of mouth. There we go. Now that we've applied the face paint and the liquid latex, I'd like to show you how to remove it safely. You could actually peel off liquid latex. Did that hurt? It's a little bit like a Band-Aid. So if you have a lot of liquid latex, I wouldn't suggest peeling it off. You could use mineral oil, or they sell professional liquid latex remover, and it's a type of mineral oil based remover, and you just apply it on the liquid latex. Just apply it, and then it just kind of peels off. Now I'll take you to a sink, and we'll remove the rest with soap and water. Keep your face really in the sink so that it doesn't go on your shirt. Right on. We're going to move right on into creating ears. I'm going to show you how to do these black cat ears and how to do variations of them, such as this Dalmatian, this tiger, and once you know how to do these, you can pretty much do any ear you want. Start with a flexible wide hairband. Draw and cut out a paper pattern for the ears, and then use this pattern to cut the black felt. Cut a similar shape out of pink felt to create the inside of the cat ear. Cover the headband with black felt using hot glue and cut off any excess. On each ear, fold the felt over the notch and apply hot glue. This will give the ears the round shape. Do the same with the pink felt for inside the ear. Glue the ears to the hairband, fold band in half to keep ears aligned. Here we have the completed black cat ears. You can even make a rooster comb, a fish fin, or devil horns, or any other animal ears. Just modify the pattern and the felt color to create many variations. Here's a great example of alien or reptile hands. All you need is some lentils or barley, rubber latex gloves, glue, paint, and a paintbrush. Apply glue to glove. Spread evenly. Pour on lentils or barley and pat down. Once dry, paint in the appropriate color for your costume while extending the paint to the fingers. You can add glow-in-the-dark paint for an extra special effect. See how well the gloves complete the costumes? What a great idea. A great hat really makes the costume. Let's create a witch's hat. Cut a large circle out of black poster board. Roll another piece of poster board into a cone shape. Glue the end of the cone and cut to even it out. A witch's hat can be on an angle. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Next, draw an inner circle around the cone. Then draw a smaller circle inside. Cut notches in the smaller circle all the way around. Fold the notches upward and glue into the cone all the way around. You now have a strong witch's hat. Add a scarf and you have a completed witch's hat that really makes the costume work. For a variation, just use the cone as a dunce hat, or add a colorful scarf and create a beautiful princess hat. Use your imagination to create many varieties of hats. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming and joining me. I had a blast, and I was so happy to share with you all of my great ideas, and hope that you can have as much fun as I do every Halloween and throughout the year with costumes, painting, and accessorizing to make you into anything of your wildest dreams. Have fun, play safe, and till next time.
A witch lives here. It's not true. Trick or treat!
Trick or treat? Well, what if I have no treat? What if I told you you were the treat?